Do you want to stand this way, or do you want to get some of them in? Is it? Where's the better light? I like my fans in the background.
Okay. So hi, what's your name?
Hi, my name's DJ Lipper.
Lovely to meet you, ma'am.
Nice to meet you.
About why you're here today and what's going on with you?
So I'm a women's rights campaigner, and I've been concerned about the encroachment of men on women's spaces through the guise of trans rights activism. Basically, trans rights wants to redefine our perceptions of reality, so that we're not actually embodied beings. We're not male or female, and now we should define ourselves by how we feel at a particular time, our personalities, something called a gender identity, which has no basis in reality. It's just a theory that some university professors came up with, and has some really dark roots actually. If you go and Google John Money and look at the people who invented a lot of the ideas around this, there's a lot of links to paedophilia and queer theory, and in general just some quite suspicious people that have managed to create and foment a social justice movement that is based upon the notion that trans women are women and trans men are men. And if you refuse to believe any of them, then you're a hateful bigot, you're a transphobe, and now it's denigrated to just calling us all Nazis, basically. Most of the women in this crowd, the backbone of the movement, they're from the left, they're from the trade union movements. A lot of them are lesbian and gay themselves. And they were the first ones to really wake up and realise that something was going wrong. And so how to prove us all wrong in our fears about men in our spaces, they turn up and act like violent, aggressive thugs every time women want to come and meet. Women over there are talking about really, sometimes really harrowing stories, talking about rape and sexual assault. And then you've just got a load of men booing them. They never come to have a listen to the speeches, to listen to our actual arguments. If you try to engage them in a conversation, they'll just pull up their brollies, they'll call you a fascist, and you just don't really get anywhere. So we're just here to say women have got a right to speak about this issue because it impacts on all our rights. And the more you come to oppose us, the more women are going to stand up and come down just to let women speak about the impact of this on their day-to-day lives.
That's really interesting, and thank you for letting me know that. And do you identify as a feminist, ma'am?
I try not to identify as things like a political theory, because then I think you kind of invest your identity in ideology, and then you can't really have a good conversation with somebody who you perceive as on the other side. But I would say that I hold many of the values and the arguments behind feminism. A lot of them I agree with, but to be honest, it's a word that doesn't mean anything anymore, because I'm sure most of the people over there would call themselves feminists as well. There are so many schools of feminism, some of them contradict each other, so I just prefer to say I'm a women's rights campaigner. For me, it's all about, it's not what you say you are, it's how you behave. It's what you do activism-wise to stand up for women's rights. I know Posey Parker doesn't identify as a feminist, but to be honest, as far as I'm concerned, she's done more for the feminist cause than half of the known feminists, feminists with a platform who've totally ignored the issue and pretended that there's no clash of rights, there's no problem here. So again, I just find kind of labelling things a bit unhelpful, because there's some things I agree with in this ideology, some things in that one, and I just think we get a loggerhead sometimes when we go into our ideological corners. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. And finally, what do you think the solution to a lot of this transgender ideology and clash is, really?
I think, to be honest, I don't think there's any reasoning with them. Any of the solutions we offer are just rejected out of hand. A lot of people hope for a third space option, and I think we should have more third spaces. I do think we need more mixed sex spaces, especially if we've got an ageing population. It's awkward if you've got somebody who needs care from the opposite sex carer. What toilets do they use? There's lots of arguments for creating more spaces in the public, but I don't think any of them will be accepted by these people. It's a really big battle, because they've just got all the money behind them, all of the corporations on their side. This is very much a top-down movement, and I think it's really difficult to get it out once it's embedded itself in our institutions, in places like HR, work policies that don't actually follow the law as it's written. It's really difficult to fight back. So I don't really know what the answer is. I just think we're going to have to wholesale push back on all of it, because it's anti-reality, it's anti-woman, it's anti-safeguarding, and the more and more people realise what this ideology actually means, the more they realise it's going to impact on their rights to live their lives, you know, following their beliefs, whether they be religious beliefs or political beliefs. The more people learn about this ideology, I think the more suspicions, and the more they think, actually, no, I don't want anything to do with it. So I think we basically as a society need to grow a backbone and stand up and say no to bullies, just stop. But until that happens, I really don't know what's going to happen. I just think stuff like this is just going to continue, and the politicians will call it a culture war, the media will ignore it, and yeah, things will go on. But I know one thing, women won't ever stop fighting for their rights. Every time they come, another 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 women come to show support. So I'll just say to all these lot, bring it on. If you want to have some sort of culture war or whatever, we're going to win it. So yeah.
Well, thank you very much for speaking. This has been very interesting, and thank you for your time, and have a lovely day.
Thank you.
Bye. That was really interesting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Really nice.